A shocking event shook Washington, D.C. It was a cold day when a deadly shooting happened very close to the White House. Two brave members of the National Guard were on duty. They were shot down in a sudden, violent attack. One Guard member died, and the other was seriously hurt. This terrible act made the entire nation very worried and fearful. People asked, how could this happen in our capital? This one violent moment quickly became the reason for a huge new plan from the government. Leaders in the government were quick to speak. They said the person who shot the Guard members was a terrorist. But the truth about the shooter is not so simple. We will soon find out that this person had a much more complicated past. In fact, this individual had strong links to the U.S. government itself. This creates a big mystery. Was this just a simple act of evil by one person? Or was there a much deeper and more complex story hidden behind this attack? This chapter starts to ask these important questions. In the confusion right after the attack, President Donald Trump's administration made a very important announcement. They did not just talk about getting justice. They announced a plan to make the travel ban much bigger. This ban would stop people from entering the U.S. from over 30 countries. This was a step never seen before, and the shooting was used as the main reason for it. This new decision will surely cause a huge wave of strong feelings and arguments. But first, we need to understand the shocking event that set all of this in motion. 2. A bad day in the city. On November 26, 2025, downtown Washington, D.C. was full of life. It was about 2:15 in the afternoon. Shoppers, workers, and tourists filled the streets. Near Farragut West Metro Station, just 2 blocks from the famous White House, Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, 24, and Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, 20, walked their patrol route. They were part of the National Guard, making sure the city was safe. Their uniforms were a familiar sight in the busy area. Suddenly, the normal day turned into chaos. A man quickly moved towards the 2 soldiers. Without a single word, he pulled out a .357 Magnum revolver and started shooting. The loud shots startled everyone. Specialist Beckstrom was hit first and fell to the ground. The attacker leaned over her, firing more shots. Sergeant Wolf tried to get away, hiding behind a bus stop shelter. But the shooter turned his gun, aiming at Sergeant Wolf. Both soldiers were hit in the head, falling to the pavement. But the attack did not last long. Another National Guard member, close by, bravely fired back at the shooter. This action stopped the attack. The gunman was critically wounded and fell. Other soldiers quickly came and held the attacker until the police arrived. Emergency help came fast for Sergeant Wolf and Specialist Beckstrom. Sadly, Sarah Beckstrom died from her injuries on November 28. She was only 20 years old. This made her the first National Guard member to die in such an attack in Washington, D.C. Andrew Wolf, though severely hurt, bravely fought for his life. He had emergency surgery and stayed in critical condition, but he survived. The city was left with many questions. Why did one man do this? Police called it a lone gunman attack. But why did he choose these two soldiers? What was his reason for shooting them in a busy area in daylight? No one knew his motive, and this lack of answers created a deep fear. The shooter was now in police custody, but he was badly injured. Law enforcement began the urgent work of finding out who this man was and where he came from. The truth they would soon discover would not only shock everyone, but would give powerful leaders a strong reason for a very big new plan. 3. The shooter and the president. The shooter's name was Rahmanullah Lakhanwal. He was a 29-year-old Afghan national from Khost province. People were shocked to learn who he was. Lakhanwal was not just any unknown attacker. He had a surprising past. He had once worked with the United States government. The CIA had even trained him. He was part of a special elite force in Afghanistan called the Zero Unit, which worked with American forces during the war. Lakhanwal came to the United States on September 8, 2021, under Operation Allies Welcome. This program helped Afghans after the U.S. left Afghanistan. He settled in Bellingham, Washington, with his wife and 5 children. In 2024, he asked for asylum, which was granted in 2025. However, his request for a green card was still pending at the time of the shooting. Some reports suggested he might have suffered from paranoia or other mental health challenges. He might have believed authorities wanted to deport him. President Donald Trump spoke immediately after the attack. He condemned it, calling it a heinous assault and an act of terror. President Trump quickly blamed the shooting on past immigration policies, calling them lax or not strict enough. He said the shooter was a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan. Trump also ordered an additional 500 National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. He declared this incident showed a great need for stronger immigration vetting. He promised fast, decisive action. Now, with Lakhanwal's identity known, a central question remained. Why? Why would a man who once worked with U.S. forces turn against them so violently? His true motivations were still a mystery that would need exploring later. President Trump's strong words were only the beginning. His administration was ready to unleash a policy they had been planning for months. The Homeland Security Secretary was soon to make a big announcement. This would shake global immigration policy to its core. 4. A new plan for travel. In early December 2025, the U.S. government announced a major new plan for travel. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem shared this plan. She used social media to make her message public. She said she told President Trump about her idea. Secretary Noem called for a complete travel ban on many countries. She used strong words, calling people from these countries killers, leeches, and entitlement junkies. Her statement showed a very tough stance against immigration. President Trump later shared her message, showing he supported her view and the administration's direction. The government's current travel ban already stops people from 19 countries. With this new plan, the number of banned countries will almost double. It will now include more than 30 nations. This change shows a big increase in how the U.S. controls who can enter the country. It marks a significant escalation in the administration's strict immigration rules. The countries already facing a full travel ban are Afghanistan, Myanmar, Burma, Chad, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. 7 other countries have partial travel restrictions. These include Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. These existing bans already affect many people and families around the world. The administration has not yet told everyone which new countries will be added to this list. They have said the full list will be released soon. People across the world are waiting to learn which nations will be affected next. This creates much uncertainty and worry. A policy this large and important does not just appear suddenly. Its planning goes back many years. There are deep roots to this expanded ban. It is linked to a secret paper that was leaked and a legal plan that has been worked on for a long time. To truly understand why this is happening, we must look back at how these new rules first began. 5. The old rules and the new rules. President Donald Trump's rules for travel have a clear history. It began in January 2017. At that time, President Trump signed an order that quickly stopped people from 7 countries, mostly Muslim nations, from entering the U.S. This decision caused much confusion and many problems at airports, and people immediately went to court to challenge it. Over time, this travel ban changed a few times. The highest court in the United States, the Supreme Court, finally ruled in 2018 that the president's actions were legal. The court said that the president has great power to stop certain groups of people from entering the country. This power is given by a law called Section 212F of the Immigration and Nationality Act. The Supreme Court decision meant that the president could set these bans if he believed it was for the country's safety. When President Trump started his second term in January 2025, he quickly used this power again. He made new rules about who could come into the U.S. In June 2025, an official announcement created the travel ban that was in place before the recent shooting. This ban stopped people from 19 countries from entering the United States. This current ban also stood on the legal ground of Section 212F. But there is an important detail that shows more about these plans. In March 2025, a secret document became public. This document was a leaked memo. It showed that the administration already had a list of 43 countries that they were thinking about banning. They even had a special name for them, the Red Zone list. This leaked memo proves that the current plan to ban even more countries was not a new idea. It was something the administration wanted to do from the start, not just a reaction to the recent shooting. This legal framework gives the president much power over immigration. This power is usually used when the government believes there are problems with checking people's backgrounds. However, this brings us back to Ramanullah Lakhanwal, the man who attacked the soldiers. He had worked with the CIA in the past. So how did a man who was known to U.S. intelligence agencies manage to enter the country and then cause such a tragedy? This suggests that the issues go deeper than simple checking failures. The key to understanding this puzzle is found in his personal story. With the political goals and legal strategy now clear, we need to return to the human side of this event. Ramanullah Lakhanwal's journey from Afghanistan all the way to Washington, D.C. is a clear example of how the system failed and led to terrible results. 6. One man's story. Ramanullah Lakhanwal was the man who shot the National Guard members. He was 29 years old and from Afghanistan's Khost province. The government often said he was unvetted, meaning not properly checked. But his story was not so simple. For many years, Lakhanwal worked with American forces in Afghanistan. He received special paramilitary training under a contract with the Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA. He was part of an important counterterrorism team called the Zero Unit in Kandahar province. This elite unit worked closely with U.S. military forces during the 20-year war. So, the U.S. government knew him well. He was not a stranger to them, having been a partner. After the U.S. troops left Afghanistan in August 2021, Lakhanwal came to America. He arrived on September 8, 2021, under a program called Operation Allies Welcome. This program helped tens of thousands of Afghans find safety after the Taliban took control. He came on a temporary permit called humanitarian parole. This status allowed him to enter the U.S. for 2 years, but it did not give him a direct path to become a permanent resident. Lakhanwal settled in Bellingham, Washington, with his wife and what officials believed were 5 children. In 2024, he asked for asylum, hoping to stay in the U.S. permanently. His request for asylum was approved in 2025. This meant he could legally stay. But his request for a green card, which would give him permanent resident status and a stable future, was still pending when the shooting happened. Investigators later found that Lakhanwal had serious mental health problems. Law enforcement sources said he showed signs of paranoia. He may have believed that U.S. authorities wanted to deport him. This fear was likely made worse by a sad event. A close friend, who was also an Afghan commander, died in 2024. This friend had also tried to get asylum in the U.S., but failed. This loss deeply upset Lakhanwal and likely helped explain his anger and later actions. This personal struggle provides a key reason for his motivation. He then traveled from Washington State to Washington, D.C. with a clear goal to attack. He did not cooperate with police after the shooting. Lakhanwal's tragic story, full of troubles and loss, became a spark for a much larger change. The policy he inspired, the expanded travel ban, will now affect millions of innocent people. These individuals have never broken any laws. Their lives will now be harder, and their voices are beginning to rise in protest against these new rules. 7. What people think. The news about the new travel ban made many people angry, not just in the U.S., but all over the world. People started to speak out against it. They showed their anger in different ways, asking the government to stop the new rules. Groups that protect civil rights quickly got ready for a fight. The American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, said they would go to court. They believed the ban was wrong and went against fair rules. They had fought previous bans and were ready to do it again. They said the ban hurt people because of where they came from, not because of real danger. Inside the U.S., members of Congress did not agree. Many Democrats said the ban was bad. They felt it hurt America's place in the world and was unfair to families. But Republican lawmakers mostly supported President Donald Trump's plan. They said it was needed to keep the country safe after the recent shooting near the White House. Other countries were also upset. Many close friends of the U.S. were worried. They said the ban could hurt their relationships with America. The United Nations, a big global group, also spoke out. They reminded the U.S. about its promise to help people who need protection and a safe home. This new rule affected real people in sad ways. Take Ahmad, an interpreter from Afghanistan. He helped U.S. soldiers during the war. He came to America for safety. Now his wife and 3 children are stuck in Afghanistan, facing danger. The new ban stops them from joining him in the U.S., making his family stay apart. Fatima, a smart student from Iran, also felt the pain. She got a scholarship to study at a top U.S. university. But because Iran is on the ban list, she cannot get a visa. Her dream to study in America, to become an engineer, is now gone. And then there is the Hassan family from Syria. They found safety in Michigan years ago. But some of their family members are still in refugee camps. The new ban makes it even harder, maybe impossible, for them to be together again. So the lines were drawn. Lawyers were getting ready for court. Countries were showing their anger. President Trump's team kept pushing the plan forward, saying it was best for the country. What would happen next? The answer to this question would change America's future for a very long time, and how the world sees it. 8. What happens next? The events of the past weeks have brought America to a defining moment. A shooting near the White House, the death of a National Guard member, and the quick actions of President Donald Trump's government have led to big changes. The plan to expand the travel ban to over 30 countries is now central to the future of immigration. This policy brings together many parts of the story: the tragic attack, the government's strong actions, old laws, and the real lives of many people. What comes next is not yet clear. One possibility is that the government will fully put the new, bigger travel ban into action. This would mean many more countries face travel limits. It would stop more people from coming to the U.S. This would be a major change for how America handles people from other lands. However, another path is possible. Groups that work for people's rights are ready to challenge the ban in court. They say it is not fair and goes against American values. Courts might decide to stop parts of the ban, or even all of it. This legal fight will be important to watch. Other countries and many people in America are also worried about the ban's impact. This expanded travel ban is more than just a way to make the country safe. It is a big part of a wider plan by President Trump's administration to change immigration rules. It is a statement about what America is and who it wants to be. It will affect many lives: soldiers, families, students, and workers around the world. The coming months will decide if this ban becomes a lasting policy or if it is changed. It will show how America sees its place in the world. The decisions made now will have long-term effects on many people and on the idea of America itself. Given the complex history of the shooter as a one-time U.S. ally, do you believe the travel ban expansion is a necessary security measure or a political exploitation of a tragedy?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.